For the Bulgarian split squat, it is first important to identify your stance or how far you are standing from the bench. As you can see, all I do is sit at the edge of the seat and extend my legs forward, and basically where my heels are is where my standing or stance feet will be. I will be performing a few variations of the Bulgarian split squats for you. Here I'll be performing a glute bias Bulgarian split squat with the stick support. As you can see, I just changed the position of the stick support because I want it to be on the side where I do not have my standing leg on. Basically, the stick support is acting as my other leg and acting to increase the support or base of my support. So basically, you want to be holding the stick or the support opposite of your stance leg. Now, as I'm performing this, here I'm doing it without the stick, but the execution remains the same. If I'm performing a glute bias Bulgarian split squat, the main aim is that you want to lean forward ever so slightly, such that your upper back, your butt, and your knees are in a straight line but at a diagonal position. And my cue should be that your back knee or the knee that is resting is going in a backward and downward angle. So you want it in this slight downward diagonal position where you're aiming for a spot underneath the bench. So you do not want it to go straight down. So to recap for a glute bias Bulgarian split squat, number one, you want to lean forward ever so slightly. You want to make sure that your upper back, your butt, and your knees are in the same line, and you want to aim your non-standing knee to that point underneath the bench in a downward and backward diagonal angle. Now, as importantly, is the position of my pelvis. You can see that from this angle, I am not able to see the right butt. The reason I cannot see the right butt cheek is because my left butt cheek is superimposed onto my right butt cheek. And this means that there is no rotation in my pelvis. The moment I can see my other butt cheek from the side angle, this means that there is too much rotation happening. And so basically you can see here that for those two variations that I've done for my glute bias Bulgarian split squat, whether it's with a support or not with a support, there is basically no rotation at my pelvis, and that my butt cheeks from either side are superimposed on each other. And so that's basically the few main things you want to be considering when you're doing a glute bias Bulgarian split squat. Now, for a quad bias Bulgarian split squat, same thing here. To find how far I should be standing from the seat edge, I sit on the edge of the seat, I extend my legs, and where my heels are is where my standing leg should be. I hold the support or the stick on my other hand where my non-stance leg is. Now, for the quad bias variation, you're going to be standing more upright, but the intent is going to be driving your knees over your toes. So basically, for the stance leg that I'm standing on, which is the right leg, I am focusing on driving my knees over my toes. Whether it is going to be with a stick support or no stick support, the intent should be the same, because we want to be working on the quads, and the quads work on extending the knees, and therefore the aim should be driving your standing leg knees over your toes as much as you can without losing stability. So you can see in both videos whether it is with a stick or without a stick support. Another thing that is also common with the glute bias variation is that there is no excessive rotation in my pelvis. If you see from the side angle, my butt cheek on the other side is superimposed by the butt cheek that is closest towards you. And this is the best indicator to let you know that you are not having too much rotation at your pelvis and that your butt is well superimposed on each other. Basically meaning your pelvis is square onto the wall in front of you or square forward. Okay, so once again, a few tips or a few things to think of when you're doing a quad bias variation or a quadricep bias variation Bulgarian split squat. Number one, you're going to be more upright. Number two, your intent should be driving your knees over your toes. And number three, you want to make sure that there is no excessive rotation in your pelvis. So now, just once again to recap a few things on the Bulgarian split squat. Here I'm doing a glute bias Bulgarian split squat variation, mainly I am leaning forward ever so slightly for the glute bias variation to make sure that my upper back, my butt and my knees are in the same line, and I'm aiming for my non-standing leg knee to be in that downward diagonal position. So it's not straight down, it is downward and backwards to a spot underneath the bench. There is no excessive rotation in my pelvis, and if I'm using a support, it is on the hand that is opposite of my standing leg. Now, for the quad bias variation of the Bulgarian split squat, similar execution as the glute bias, except that the intent shouldn't be on the diagonal position of the back leg, but instead the focus should be on driving the quadriceps or the knees, driving your knees of the standing leg over your toes. Okay, so like driving your knees forward over your toes as much as you can without losing stability. But in everything else, the main thing is that there is no excessive rotation, and if you need to use a stick or a support, use it on the hand that is opposite of your standing or stance leg.